children's future? What happens when they want to go travelling around Europe and get a job or work outside the UK? How will it affect them?
What bemuses me is the attitude, well, we've got to get on with it now. That now the mindset is we've got to go. And then if we've got to go, we can't vote on the settlement. Why can't we vote on the settlement? There seems to be a lot of, I'm the leader to do this, but you won't be able to vote on what I do. But I thought we were a democracy. So what are you scared of?
On election.
Yeah, but no, that's about the election, that's about who you vote. But so whoever you vote for, they will bring in a deal, good or bad, might be brilliant, good or bad, and we'll have no say on it.
But if you thought voting in a particular way meant the choice was kept open, not necessarily to rerun the referendum, but the choice of exactly where we go, you do that.
I don't think it's there pragmatically, but yeah, if I thought it was there, that might influence the way I go.
Very easily. For me at least, it's done. Takes a design review. So if you're going to you're going to be hearing the verdicts of that group on those competing events.
2 or 3 minutes to 7, and Thomas Shaffer has joined us with the latest weather. Thomas?
Thank you, Michelle. I see some sunshine coming through the windows here at Broadcasting House, much better across London and many eastern parts of the UK compared to what we had yesterday. Yesterday just coming that rain. We had up to 40 millimetres in places. And today, a very different day on the way for a large chunk of the UK. We'll see a lot more sunshine. In the short term, so the coming hours, actually a lot of bright, fresh weather around across the country. Temperatures dip down to maybe freezing across Northern Ireland, but 5 or 6 for many of us right now across Northern Ireland, Wales, Scotland, and a large chunk of it, and some sunny skies too. So a little bit later on, what can we expect? Let's start the forecast with England. So scattered showers and sunny spells. Top temperatures in London probably reaching around about 19 degrees, 17 in Leeds. So overall, a pleasant day. And in the far east, so East Anglia in the southeast, probably at times staying a little on the cold side. In Wales, also a fine day, some sunny spells around, temperatures getting up to around 15 degrees. If you're lucky, catch a shower, most of them light. In Northern Ireland, different story here, a few more showers, some of them and thundery. Temperatures will get up to around 15 degrees Celsius in Belfast. And in Scotland, northern and eastern parts of Scotland also catching a few heavy showers, some of them thundery. But in the west and the southwest of Scotland, it should be bright. And the temperatures will range from 15 in Glasgow to 17 degrees in Avon. And then as far as tonight's concerned, we've got some rain on the way. The rain won't reach us until probably around about 6 p.m. in the southeast, and then it will spread across eastern parts of the country overnight. So tonight, eastern half of the UK is wet, western parts are dry, and then tomorrow, a different story altogether. Again, it will be fairly cloudy, there'll be outbreaks of rain, best of the sunshine.
Thank you very much indeed, Tom. All this week you can follow the footsteps of the BBC's Middle East editor.
Continues his journey across the Middle East.
The cattle were on a farm outside Khartoum, Sudanese capital. Bin Laden used to have the farm next door.
A personal history of the region in peace and war.
One of my colleagues told me a story. They'd received a tip from the Pentagon that at a certain hour they should go live from the roof of the Ministry of Information in Baghdad. You'll never believe it, he said. A few minutes after we went on air, they started bombing right in front of the cameras, and it ended just before we said goodnight.
Our Man in the Middle East continues on BBC Radio 4, Monday to Friday afternoons at 1:45.
Jeremy Bowen, you don't want to miss that in the next hour on this programme.
Roderick Morgan, will you run again for leadership of the Welsh Labour Party?
Do one-legged ducks swim in a circle?
Who else could it be? Roderick Morgan, who sadly died last night, the father of Welsh devolution as he's known, and video blogging and upcycling new badges for modern girl guides. You're listening to Today on BBC Radio 4 with Michelle Said and Nick Watson. Good morning, it's 7 o'clock on Thursday the special prosecutor has been appointed in the United States to investigate claims of Russian interference in last year's presidential election. And the former First Minister of Wales, has died. The BBC News is read this morning by Charles Campbell.
The Conservatives say that if they win the general election, winter fuel payments would no longer be given to every pensioner, and they would end a guarantee that the state pension will rise by at least 2.5% a year. The party's manifesto, being published this morning, will say that only the least well-off would continue to receive help with their heating bills, and the savings would be used to boost funding for social care. The Conservatives are also promising new measures to curb immigration, as well as restating their commitment to cut the net figure to tens of thousands. Our political correspondent Ian Watson reports.
When her manifesto was unveiled, Theresa May promised to provide greater fairness between the generations, as well as targeting help where it's most needed. So, previous Conservative commitments to protect pensioners' incomes regardless of wealth will be ditched. If re-elected, pensions triple lock become a double lock in 2020. The state pension will rise in monthly earnings or prices, but a minimum 2.5% annual increase would no longer be guaranteed. Winter fuel payments worth up to £300 would be means tested to help meet the costs of social care. And for the first time, many